Hey guys, Editor Griffin here. Before we get started with today's video, I wanted to show one thing that was done in between the previous episode and this episode. We went back to Route 29 on a Tuesday, because on Tuesdays there is a lady that can be found called Tuscany. She is one of the 7 weak siblings that is only found on Tuesday. If we talk to Tuscany, she will give us a Twisted Spoon, a held item that boosts the power of Psychic-type moves by 20%. This is one of those cases where I had enough time to record this small clip here, but did not have enough time on the actual day of Tuesday to record a full-length episode. Still, I highly recommend that you go visit Tuscany on a Tuesday if you plan on raising a Psychic type of any kind or plan on raising a Pokemon with Psychic type moves of any kind, because the Twisted Spoon is a very helpful item in that regard. Now with that out of the way, let's begin the episode. Hey guys, it's Griffin Oni here, and welcome back to Pokemon HeartGold. Last time, we fought our rival Argento. We went into the Ilex Forest, we saved a couple of Farfetch from the Mason Worker, and we also got the ability to use Headbutt, not only having a decently powerful move to use in battle, but now we have a new way to catch Pokemon in the wild. We also got a brand new party member in the form of Hogan the Heracross, and before we get to anything, I want to talk about Hogan for a second. Never mind the fact that we're in Violet City all of a sudden. We'll get to why we're here in a minute. I want to talk about Hogan for a second. So some of you might be concerned about Hogan, given the fact that Hogan is level 5, and we are going to have to work a little bit at it in order to get Hogan to its fullest potential. I want you to put away any and all concerns. Because, well, yes, Hogan is level 5, and it is going to be a while before it can be of genuine big impact. It is Adamant Nature. Adamant Nature on a Heracross is like the best nature you could possibly get. That boosts his attack while lowering special attack, which is absolutely perfect. Additionally, it has Guts for the ability, which is the optimal ability that you would want on a Heracross. And furthermore, I did a little digging in between episodes just to kind of see where Heracross is as far as its individual values is concerned. Its individual values across the board are spectacular. Aside from its HP, nothing's perfect, which, by the way, it has perfect HP for the record. But the only thing that was kind of low was its special defense individual value, but aside from that, this thing has incredible stats, and honestly, this thing is just going to do so much good for the party. And if all that still doesn't convince you, let me give you another sense of perspective, okay? Hogan, despite being level 5, has 19 attack. Saris is 10 levels higher and is only 1 point of attack higher than Hogan right now. Mind you, Saris may not be the absolute best point of reference, but I'm just saying, it's not going to take that much for Hogan to catch up. Once Hogan gets up a couple more levels in the world, we're going to see some immense damage being done here. But enough with that. Why are we back in Violet City? Well, there are a couple of things that I had to do a little bit of backtracking on before we could proceed with the main events of today's episode. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to go here. This is a rock that I neglected to smash earlier, and I wanted to be sure that I smashed it before we did anything else. So we have Geodude in the party once more. We're going to smash this rock. Oh, Max Ether is in the rubble. Yes, sometimes when you smash rocks, you can encounter wild Pokemon, but in other cases, you can find items in the Smash Rocks. Now, I believe right here, if I hit A in the space in front of that tree, we get a Hyper Potion. Hyper Potion is an extremely good item, especially for this early in the game. It restores 120 HP, and given the state of my Pokemon as they currently are, this makes all those Pokemon just instantly fully restored. Now, further down, we can head back to Route 32, and there is a reason I do want to head back here. Well, technically 2 reasons, but one thing at a time. Before we get back to Ilex Forest, there is one new Pokemon that we need to talk about. Here in Route 32, there is one new Pokemon that you can find if you use Headbutt on the trees here. And that Pokemon is Exeggcute. Now, this Pokemon is relatively unique with its type combination of Grass Psychic. This offers additional resistance to fighting types that a natural Grass type wouldn't have. Plus, it gives it an offensive edge against Grass Poison types. And for where we are in the game, those stats starting off aren't bad either. This Pokemon is capable of doing a little bit of everything, as it gets Grass and Psychic attacks, all the Powder moves, and the move Reflect through level up. This allows Exeggcute to play whatever kind of role you want on a team. It can be an offensive tank, or it can be a more supportive Pokemon. And with a Leaf Stone, it evolves into Exeggutor, giving it even more bulk and an impressive base 125 special attack. And it's not half bad using physical attacks either. Unfortunately, for all its strengths, Exeggutor has a few weaknesses. Namely, it has 6 type weaknesses, including being quad weak to bug type attacks. It's also lacking in speed, which can be a problem when you have so many weaknesses. A lack in speed can be worked around, however, as not only Exeggutor comes with the chlorophyll ability to double its speed in harsh sunlight, but there is another move in this game called Trick Room that can reverse the turn order and make slower Pokemon go first. And fortunately, Exeggutor is capable of meeting these conditions on its own. My never-ending concerns about grass types still persist, but this one is definitely one of the most offensively viable grass types we've encountered so far. My only recommendation if you plan to raise this thing is to wait to evolve Exeggcute until it reaches level 47. That might seem late, but if you do wait that long, you will be rewarded by having Exeggcute learn both Solar Beam and Psychic through level up, which Exeggutor otherwise does not get. So with that said, I'm gonna headbutt the trees a little bit and see if I can't get lucky with Exeggcute here. Oh! Well, to my surprise, headbutting a tree has enabled me to find a Hoothoot. This is not something I'm normally able to find during the day, so, I guess since it's here and I haven't caught it, I might as well. Alright, well, Hoothoot has been caught. To my surprise, I really did not think it was possible to find a Hoothoot during the day, but I suppose we can chalk it up to it was sleeping in the tree during the daytime. Hoothoot, the owl Pokemon. It always stands on one foot. It changes feet so fast, the movement can rarely be seen. Not the Pokemon I was intending to catch here, but if you do want to give Hoothoot a nickname, feel free to suggest one in the comments. I'm pretty sure I've already received suggestions previously, but you never know what could happen. Ah, fantastic. I've also found a Pineco in my effort to catch a new Pokemon. Might as well grab this since we're here. Unless it uses Protect. All right, there we go. Pineco has been caught. Pineco, the bagworm Pokemon. It likes to make its shell thicker by adding layers of tree bark. The additional weight doesn't bother it. So if you want to give this thing a nickname as well, feel free to recommend one in the comments. Man, we're finding everything that I need except the one thing I actually explicitly meant to find here. But hey, progress is progress. I'm unlocking new Pokemon. I'm getting new things for the Pokedex. Can't really complain about that. Ah, there we go. Finally, I found an Exeggcute. Didn't take too long. Just gotta whittle it down a little bit with Hogan and we'll be good to go. Ooh, it's using its signature move, Barrage. I'm pretty sure only Exeggcute can learn this move, so it's very interesting to see. You very rarely get to see Barrage used outside the early stages. Alright, I've been working at this for a little bit, but Exeggcute is not budging, so we're going to increase the odds with Rido here, and hopefully that will do it. After all, grass types may resist electric attacks, but they're still not immune to the effects of paralysis. There we go. Just needed that little push to get it over the edge. Awesome. Exeggcute Sid has been added to the Pokedex. Exeggcute, the egg Pokemon. The shells are very durable. Tell that to the one guy with the broken shell. Even if they crack, they can survive without spilling their contents. Well, at least that half's true. If you'd like to give a nickname to Exeggcute, feel free to recommend one in the comments. I know that it hasn't had much payoff so far, but trust me, we are getting closer to the day where all of these nickname recommendations are going to pay off in dividends. Just gotta be patient with me. All right, that takes care of the first item of business I wanted to do on Route 32. The second item of business, this guy here, we have not been able to get to him. And we shall continue to not be able to get to him as long as Rattata get in my way. And the reason why we haven't actually been able to get to him is because we did not have the ability to cut trees. This tiny tree was actually in our way before. I know that wasn't made entirely clear, but it is here. So now that we do have the ability to cut down trees with our Paris, let's go ahead and talk to him and see what the man has to offer. Roar! People run when I roar, but you came looking. That pleases me. Now take this. Yeah, TM05. Roar! It's roar! Even Pokemon run from a good roar. For those of you who know the true meaning behind that voice, you are real ones. But in any case, that is a TM05 for Roar. So Roar is one of those moves that has what is referred to as negative priority. So more likely than not, it will go last when used in a turn. But the nice thing about Roar is that when it's used, it takes a Pokemon that you're fighting off the field. And if you're fighting a trainer, it will force a new Pokemon randomly into battle. If you're fighting a wild Pokemon, it'll just cause the Pokemon to get scared and get to flee and run away. So now with that out of the way, I'm going to head back to Azalea Town and we'll head west because we have a lot more to do before we end things off. All right, we're back in Azalea Town. I just have a couple of things that I want to do before we leave here. First off, I want to get another white apricorn from this tree here. And I actually want to head back to Kurt's house. In between episode, I've gone to Kurt a couple of times and gotten some Pokeballs from him. And I did have some Pokeballs queued up here. So we got some friend balls. So hopefully we'll be able to see the effects of those later on. If not, then at least we can say that I got Kurt's friendly balls. All right, here's more or less where we were in Ilex Forest as far as how far we got in. So, now that we have pretty much done everything that I need to do in Azalea Town, let's press further on in. Kimono girl, lost and all alone. Poor girl lost in the dark. Ilex Forest. God bless with the incomplete text boxes. What? You remember me from Violet City? You must be imagining. Anyway, will you show me how to get out of this forest? Sure. You will? Aren't you lost in the forest as well? How do you know how to get out of here? Looks like Hogan knows the way. Wow, are you going to show me how to get out? You are such a smart Pokemon. I know. He's been with me for like a day. See you. Even before we have a proper battle, Hogan is always carrying us through. Right over here is an Ether. Very useful item that can restore, I believe, 10 power points in battle. It can only restore one move, so it's relatively finite, these items, the PP restoring items, so you definitely want to hang on to them for a very crucial moment. Not you, Caterpie. The crucial moment is not you. Okay, so some of you may be seeing that item ball down there and want me to go get it. Unfortunately, I do not believe I have the ability to get it at this exact moment. We're going to have to wait on that for a little while. But we do want to remember it for later. All we can do now is head on out. Okay, looks like we have some people to talk to, including a Butterfree. Hi, Butterfree. What do you have to say? Oh, honey, you're making a Pokedex? You must be battling all kinds of Pokemon. Try using this TM for a change. Oh, that's right. She gives us a TM. It's Taunt. Use it and the target Pokemon can only use moves that do damage to your Pokemon for a while. Yes, Taunt is a good move if your opponent has a proclivity to set up or if they only have moves that can inflict stats conditions or affect stats in some way. But otherwise, it's not the absolute most useful move in the world. It's truly a case-by-case basis whether it's genuinely helpful. Excuse me, did you see this shrine that pays homage to the Protector? This Protector watches over the forest from across time. I think that it must be a grass-type Pokemon. What makes you think that? Okay, well, anyway, welcome to Route 34, Trainer Tips. North to Goldenrod City, the radio tower at Goldenrod is giving away radio cards. Answer their questions and receive a radio card. All right, so there are multiple trainers that we can find on this route. And there are also multiple Pokemon that we can find here. So while we go through and do a little bit of switch training with our boy Hogan, I think I'm going to take the time to talk about the Pokemon we can find here. Because trust me, it's all worth talking about, but also being respectful of your time. So let's get into it. This is where I do my training. Yeah. Okay, so on Route 34, there are 2 new Pokemon that I want to talk about. Okay, technically there are 3 new Pokemon here, but we'll talk about the third one just a little later. The first one that we can find here is Drowsy. Now, Drowsy is our first instance of a pure Psychic type. Psychic types resist themselves as well as fighting types, and only possess weaknesses to uncommon types like Bug, Ghost, and Dark types. And honestly, until this generation came about, Psychic types were pretty uncontested as the best pure type in the game. Drowsy, however, is not the best one to start off with, but there are some positives about him. First, he does start off with Confusion right out of the gate, and is able to learn other Psychic type attacks to level up, including Psychic. It does come with some decent special defense even before evolving it into Hypno at level 26, and it does get Headbutt naturally, giving it utility that it otherwise wouldn't have. Unfortunately, its offensive capabilities are simply lacking, even after it evolves. Hypno is one of a few Gen 1 Pokemon that got the short end of the stick when they split the original special stat. For some reason, they thought it would be best for Hypno to have more special defense instead of special attack. It also lacks a variety of moves through level up and TMs, but to be fair, it is capable of getting some versatility through move tutors, including learning all of the elemental punches. This Pokemon is perfectly fine for early game, but it is ultimately outclassed by other Psychic types. If you plan on catching one, I recommend catching 2. 1 to keep, and 1 to trade later on. And speaking of Psychic types that ultimately outclass Drowsy, it's Abra. First of all, if you plan on catching one, do not attack it. Just throw a Pokeball and pray. Abra starts off with Teleport as its only move, which makes it escape from battle every time. Now, you might think that this would make Abra useless, as it's the only move that Abra knows. But that is far from the case. You'll not only be able to evolve it into Kadabra in just a few levels, which instantly gives a Confusion for you to rock with base 120 special attack, but if you're able to trade it back and forth, it will evolve again right away into Alakazam. This is one of the most powerful pure Psychic types in the game. 135 special attack and 120 speed will enable this thing to destroy anything in its path before it can move. Even Dark types aren't safe against this anymore, as it now learns Miracle Eye to let it hit Dark types with its many Psychic type attacks. The only thing you need to be mindful of is that its physical stats are lacking, especially if you can't evolve Kadabra. So you definitely want to be mindful of what kind of moves your opponent uses. Speaking from experience, I've used an Alakazam in a previous Let's Play, and I can tell you firsthand that it's a lot of fun. Okay, I believe that takes care of all the trainers that we can find for the immediate moment, so let's head up here. Grandpa! Ah, there's a favorite Goyle. Good work, Grandpa. The Pokemon you raised for me has been as healthy as can be. You look fit too. Hi, Griffin. Let me introduce you. This is Griffin. He's a trainer. He seems to be getting better at raising Pokemon. Well, not as good as you, Grandpa, of course. Follow me, Griffin. Grandma, let me introduce my friend. This is Griffin. Aha, this is your boy friend. I see. What? Grandma, what are you talking about? He just happens to live nearby. He's just my childhood friend is all. I know. Since you brought him here, Lyra, you must be sure about his talent. Right, Griffin? Come and see us anytime. Well, I better go now. See ya! Oh, I almost forgot. Here, this is my Pokegear number. Awesome. We have Lyra in the Pokegear. Now we can call her whenever we want. You know, you can talk to your Pokemon as they follow you. They do all sorts of cute stuff on the road and in towns. I'm taking notes every time they do funny things. Give me a call and I'll share some of them with you. Yes, so this is actually kind of bringing up a thing I had been somewhat demonstrating in previous instances. So with Lyra, depending on where you are in the game, Lyra will indicate whether something interesting will happen when you interact with a certain Pokemon while it's walking with you in that area. Sometimes it's a specific Pokemon, sometimes it's a specific type, sometimes it's specific to what exactly is in the area. I will try my best to cover all these gestures as we go through the game. I kind of make it a point to interact with my Pokemon as we go through the routes. But if you ever want to know what to do and where, you can call Lyra in that location. Grandma, don't you say anything. We are both trainers, and we are supposed to exchange numbers. That's all. Okay, so let's talk about what Lyra's grandma can do. I'm the daycare lady. We can raise Pokemon for you. Would you like us to raise your Pokemon? No, not quite. Before we do that, I want to pick out a Pokemon that I want to leave here to be raised. In the last Let's Play, I did leave a certain Pokemon behind the daycare for a long time, and it resulted in very funny things. Alright, I think this Pokemon will work out nicely for us. On the daycare lady, we can raise Pokemon for you. Yes, I would like her to raise Exeggcute. This is the Exeggcute that we caught earlier in the episode, and I think that leaving Exeggcute here for now is going to work out nicely. I don't plan on using Exeggcute for my team, but I think it'd be funny to go through the Let's Play and then come back here later and see, oh, it knows Psychic and Solar Beam. Because, you know, that's how late you have to go to get these things. Anyway, we'll raise Exeggcute for a while. And one of the really neat things about this, she's saying that you can raise 2 Pokemon here. And that brings up an interesting mechanic. So if you leave 2 or more Pokemon that are in the same egg group together, discounting the fact that I left an Exeggcute here, they will produce an egg. That egg will be the Pokemon species of whichever female Pokemon you leave behind. It will likely have its nature, ability, and similar individual values. And in some cases, it can even learn certain moves from both the parents that it otherwise wouldn't have. But for now, I'm going to hold off on relieving 2 Pokemon because I don't want to deal with the whole egg situation right here. Ian, my man, what have you got? Griffin, howdy. It's Ian. How are you? I used the tips I learned from watching you battle to take down a wild Drowsy the other day. Thanks to you, my Pokemon's much stronger. If we get the chance to meet again, I hope you'll show me some more tricks. I want to show one more thing off before we step out of the daycare here. So there is not really a way to heal Pokemon in this specific location. However, there is a little trick you can do that you actually cannot do in modern Pokemon games. So right now, as you can see, my Blazer has taken a little bit of damage. 40 out of 53. So if we put Blazer in the PC and then take it out, immediately, it is now fully restored. This is a neat little exploit that you can take full advantage of. And I definitely recommend it when you're in situations like this where you have access to a PC but otherwise have no way to heal. Because you never know, sometimes it can really come in clutch. Nowadays, you have to actually properly use the Pokemon Center to do it. But here, nah, we're as scummy as they come. I think also I'm going to take out this egg. I had previously put it away for reasons that will hopefully be relatively apparent later on. Alright, Exeggcute, we'll see you later. Have fun. I have an idea. I'll give you our numbers. Then you can check on the Pokemon we raised for you. Griffin registered the Daycare man in the Pokegear. Yep, it's not just Lyra. And it's not just the Daycare man. The Daycare lady also has something. So, just to be clear on what each of them does. So if you call the Daycare lady, you can check on how much the Pokemon's level increases. By leaving a Pokemon here, it'll gain 1 EXP for every step that you take. And then with the Daycare man, if you are breeding 2 Pokemon here, the Daycare man will call you to let you know that your Pokemon have produced an egg. Now, all of those details about breeding, but here's the big question. What if you want to breed a certain Pokemon, but you only have a male? That's where Ditto comes in, our 3rd Pokemon that we can find on this route. Ditto is a Pokemon that has the move Transform. which turns it into an identical copy of whatever Pokemon it is facing. In battle, this allows Ditto to be a perfect equal copy of the opponent. On paper. The biggest issue with this, however, is that Ditto does not yet have the ability Imposter, which in modern games allows it to transform as soon as it enters the battle, which means you have to manually use the move Transform. This wouldn't be a problem, except that Ditto's speed stat is very lacking, among its other stats not being great either. This means that, more likely than not, your opponent will get a hit in and possibly even knock out Ditto before it can use Transform. It does have access to the Quick Powder and Metal Powder items, which help to double its lackluster speed and defense respectively, but those are minor bandages for this problem at best. Outside of battle is where Ditto can be of best use. For breeding purposes, Ditto can copy itself into whatever Pokemon you are trying to breed with it, meaning that it will guarantee that you breed the exact Pokemon that you want, as long as that Pokemon can be bred in the first place. So even if you don't plan on using a Ditto in battle, I highly recommend catching one if you have any plans to breed Pokemon. Also, while writing notes for this video, I was made aware of a glitch that can occur with Ditto. If you have Ditto transform into a Pokemon that knows the move Rage, have Ditto use Rage, and then use a move other than Rage to knock out the opposing Pokemon, Ditto's moveset will permanently change to copy that Pokemon's exact moveset. If this glitch is exploited correctly, you can teach Ditto practically anything, and then have Ditto teach other Pokemon moves through breeding that it should normally never be allowed to do. I don't plan on doing this myself, but I felt that I should share this anyway. It's still a bit of interesting trivia. Also, technically this glitch can work with any Pokemon that uses Transform, but obviously Ditto is the first Pokemon that comes to mind. Anyway, let's head on up here. Now, this guy here is a security officer. I want to talk to him real quick. I'm on patrol for suspicious individuals. So, right now, this police officer is not going to do anything. However, if you are walking past him at night, he will challenge you to a Pokemon battle. This is one of the first cases of a Pokemon trainer only challenging you during a specific time of day. And we could get into the policies of that, but it is interesting to see that the police will only challenge you at night. So, good on you for being a diligent officer, and thank God it's not nighttime right now. Anyway, I believe we have one more trainer that we need to fight before we need to start focusing on catching more Pokemon, so let's get into it. I'm confident in my ability to raise Pokemon. Want to see? Alright, we are challenged by Camper Todd. He only has one Pokemon, Psyduck. Now, as you can see here, Hogan has leveled up a few times, and in between battles, he has learned a new move, Fury Attack. Not the best attack in the world, and I certainly did not mean to use it. I was actually just trying to pull up the details, but there we go. There's Fury Attack for you. Now, I'm pretty sure Psyduck does not know any Psychic-type moves, so he should be okay. But I am definitely going to switch out, because while Hogan is definitely a lot stronger than he previously was, he's still not quite optimal for dealing with strong Pokemon, well, relatively stronger Pokemon like Psyduck. That is what our man Rido's for. Man, Water Gun sounds so pathetic in this game. I remember back in Gen 3 when Water Gun sounded efficient. I don't know what I'm talking about. Efficient, that's not even the right word, even if that was the sentiment I was going for. Got to level up on Rido, level 17. And there we go. Didn't I train enough? No. No, you did not. We should both train a Pokemon some more and have another battle. So we should really exchange phone numbers, don't you agree? Yes, I will gladly exchange phone numbers. Got Camper Todd's phone number. Beautiful. Now then, right here we can go south to Azalea Town, but that's not what I want to do, especially with an item right over here. I want to grab this. TM63 Embargo. This is another debilitating Dark-type move. So it's, in a way, it's similar to Taunt, where it prevents your opponent from doing certain things, but unlike Taunt, what this does, it prevents the opposing Pokemon from using held items. in the main story, this is not particularly useful, but depending on what you're doing in the competitive meta, this can be extremely helpful. Now that said, we do have a few more Pokemon that we do need to catch, namely Ditto, Abra, and then one more Drowsy. I was able to catch one Drowsy during the montage, but we still need to catch a second one for things that we will see very soon. Unfortunately, our second victim of the day has appeared. Alright, there we go. Drowsy has been caught. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I already caught a Drowsy for the purposes that I was describing during the bio. However, just to be sure that we are covering everything, Liz, what do you want, sweetie? Oh, hey, good afternoon. What's up? This is Liz. Listen. Do you know Earl, the teacher who runs the Pokemon school in Violet? Wait, what? Okay, I got thrown off. This sentence, aged very strangely. Obviously, he's talking about Violet City, but I thought for 2 seconds the Pokemon school in Pokemon Violet. Sorry. I saw him doing pirouettes while he was running. It was wildly funny. Okay, I'll tell you later. I'm just imagining that very large man doing pirouettes. Very, very, very bizarre imagery. Anyway, let's take a look at the Pokédex. This is actually our first instance of us seeing through the Pokédex. Personally, I think that the Dex from the Diamond Pearl Platinum games is a little better in terms of the UI, but that's just me. Anyway, Drowsy, the Hypnosis Pokemon. If you think you had a good dream, but you can't remember it, a Drowsy has probably eaten it. Yep, he just eats your dreams. And that's all we need to know that he does.
5 minutes later.
Oh, in between cuts, looks like something's happening with that egg I was carrying around. There we go, our Slugma has hatched from the egg. And now the process of speeding up hatching other eggs will occur. So if you want to give a nickname to this Slugma, feel free to recommend one in the comments. Just try not to make the joke. Seriously, this has taken so long for me to find an Abra and a Ditto that I've hatched a Pokemon. Just give me the Abra already. I just want to see it appear. Ay, finalmente, there's an Abra. Jeez, Now, like I mentioned with Abra, we do have to kind of be a little lucky here because Abra will use teleport as soon as it can. So I'm just gonna throw a Pokeball and hope for the best because that really is my one and only option. Ah! God bless. There it goes. Okay, Abra has a 10% encounter rate, by the way, so this may take me even longer than I thought. Oh my god, finally I found another Abra. Guys, I've been at this for a while, and I've only found 2 Abras in the span of nearly 20 minutes of on-off attempts. So I really need this thing to catch, please. Nope, not even a wiggle. Really, Abra? Just not any chance at all. All right, see ya then. Yeah. Okay, so I've been at this for about 20 minutes, and while I would love to spend all day and night trying to find an Abra and a Ditto, I only have so much time to give in any given day. So we are gonna have to give up on this for now. I will definitely come back at a later point to grab Abra and Ditto just because, you know, I want them, dang it. But I don't want to just press on this matter all day. Fortunately for you all, you only saw the highlights of my attempts, because Lord knows I was not going to make you wait 20 minutes just for me to fail. Anyway, with that abject failure, you have anything to say, Saris? Sarah seems to be very happy. Well, I'm glad someone is amused by my failures. Anyway, let's head on up. Welcome to Goldenrod City. We're going to end this episode right here in this illuminated town. So next time on Pokemon HeartGold, we're going to explore all that there is to find and enjoy about Goldenrod City. See you guys then.